Annelies.
Hi.
So,
Okay, you want to start?
Yeah,
You're going
that's
to ask
okay.
me a question?
Yes, I'm going to ask.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really glad you're asking for consent to
Yeah.
ask a question.
So, when I go somewhere, I always think about the way I look, because with my clothes, I say something about who I am. So you wear this clothes. Maybe you can tell me why you put on this clothes, and what does this clothes say about who you are?
Why I chose these clothes
Yeah.
today? There's actually a really good reason why I chose these clothes, and I think indirectly they tell you something about who I am. Today I didn't really like my hair.
Okay.
So that's why I thought to wear something in my hair. So it distracts a little bit from the fact that I don't like my hair. And then I'm in La Palma and I don't have my whole wardrobe. So I have limited items to choose from, what I took with me. So I had this yellow scarf. And then I searched for something that would fit with the color yellow. So then I chose this shirt. And then it was a little bit cold outside, so I didn't want to wear like something like a short skirt or short hot pants or anything like that. So I had these trousers that fit, or at least I felt they fit.
And what does it say about you?
I think it says about me that I'm a little bit vain. You know, the fact that I want to look nice and I'm busy with thinking about that. So that it tells about me. It also tells you, I think, that I like colors.
Yeah.
And that I like colorful things in practice, in real life, but also in
your work?
In my work, but also in, I like colorful in the sense that, like, that's not literal. So I like people that are colorful in the way that they are a bit different maybe than everybody else.
Not the gray person. Yeah.
So to say, yeah.
To stay in the color metaphor.
Yeah.
Okay. And does it say, so is yellow your favorite color?
It is.
Oh.
Wow, you guessed that right. Yeah, it's very strange. People don't often guess that immediately, right? Well, yes, yellow is my favorite color, and I'm very intrigued also by favorite colors of people.
Okay, why?
Because I think it says something about them.
Okay.
Especially the way they answer this question.
Okay.
Tells a lot about who they are.
So now I have to answer this question, and now I have to do it in a really right way, because it tells a lot about who I am.
Yeah, what is your favorite color?
I don't think I really have a favorite color. It depends. I do have colors which I really like, but it depends a lot in what context. I mean, for houses, I like other colors than for clothes and things like this. So, but for example, I like blue and green and orange, and I also like the combinations of colors. Some colors together can have really a spectacular effect.
Okay, that's a very well thought through answer, and it tells me that you must be a philosopher. So maybe can you tell also a bit, like, what is your name and who you are?
Yeah, my name is Frank Meester, and I'm in fact a philosopher, so you're right, although everybody's a philosopher. But I studied philosophy and I write about philosophy. I'm also a writer.
Who is your favorite philosopher?
This is the same answer as with the color. I do not really have a favorite philosopher. It depends on what subject you're interested in. But at the moment, I just read the book of Donna Haraway, and Staying with the Trouble is the title, and I like it a lot. And I saw a movie about her, so maybe I could say Donna Haraway is one of my favorite philosophers. She's an American philosopher. She's still alive. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's, I think, already answers a lot as well, because you have this whole theory about not having a favorite philosopher, because that's, of course, the philosophical answer to this question. But then you do have one. So I like that.
Yeah, I said at the moment I have one.
True.
Yeah. So it's not my favorite one, but I like her ideas of. She says she has some kind of. She's interested in the environment and things like this, but she connects everything to everything, which can be a little bit blurry, because then you're talking about everything. But then she's interested in. She says, okay, everything is connected to everything, but in a specific way, and because of this specific way, things are happening a certain way. And so we should look if we could change some small things, and then things will happen in another way. So it's an interesting way of looking to the world.
Do you think this is true, that everything is connected to everything?
Yes, in the end, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's right if you say this. It's a little bit gratuit, a little bit easy to say, and then you can say, "Oh, but everything is connected to everything," and then the discussion is ending. And then, so it's more interesting to look how things are connected to each other, and maybe if you can change them.
Yeah.
What's your profession? How do you see yourself? 'Cause you do many things, I know.
Yeah, I should tell my name also, maybe, right?
I already told your name. I said you're
okay.
Annelies Verhelst.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't listen. I'm a photographer and a storyteller, and I do different kinds of things, but my medium of choice is often photography because I'm very visual, and I think this is, to me, is often the easiest way to tell the story that I want to tell. So that's why I chose...
With images.
With images, yeah, still images specifically.
Yeah, moving. But you also do other things, like I'm a storyteller, that's what you say, but you're also
so sometimes
a dancer.
Yeah, well, I'm not really a dancer,
Okay.
but sometimes other things can be more suitable for the story I want to tell. So sometimes I do make a performance or a theater play, or I have a podcast that is more suitable for other stories. But I think the thing that I'm also working on right now in La Palma is more photography, and it's also my main focus.
Yeah. So you say, what I hear you telling is this. You say, I would like to tell things, and mostly photography is the best way to tell these things I want to tell.
Yeah.
But photography in this period is really specific. I mean, photography in the 50s of the last century was totally different. Do you think in the 50s you were also, you would have been also a photographer if you lived in this period?
If I would have lived in the 50s, it's a really hard question, and it also circles back a little bit to what you are working on, which is feminism and gender equality/inequality. Because I think if I was born in the 50s, I wouldn't have had so many chances to become whatever I wanted, like I had today. So no, I don't think I would have been a photographer. I think I would have been a housewife.
Yeah, okay.
And but maybe not. Maybe I would have been a rebel and go be an artist. Although photography, especially in those days, would have been a choice where you would also need some money to buy equipment, for example. So it's.
But let's say you have the money and you were a man.
I think so, yes.
Yes, okay. So what is the difference? What between photography, not especially difference between this, but what is photography in this time?
I think
mean,
yeah,
because
I think
we have
it's
the social media, we have the digital photography, which changes a lot. We have everybody is a photographer. Like everybody, I said, is a philosopher, but everybody's also a photographer these days because we all put our pictures online, and it's quite easy because we have these filters. We have many ways to make nice pictures.
Yeah, true. I think that's very true. I think everybody's a photographer, and I don't think there's something special you need to do or be able to do in order for yourself to be, called a photographer. So yes, you're right. And I think it is indeed changed a lot, the way we use photography and the role photography has in our lives. So it's not, like people think of photography often as, you can take a picture of the reality and then the photo is like a copy of this reality. Yeah. But this is not true, of course, because our cameras are not copying machines.
No.
They are just a tool in order for you to have a specific idea on the world and present that in a photograph. So in that way, you could say that a photo is never real or never really represents reality.
But in journalism, photographs often are a proof of something, that something really happened. So it is still also like a photograph is reality. But like you told, it's not like this. You can choose your point of view, you can use filters, you can even with Photoshop, you can change things. Are people aware of this fact that photographs are not just part of reality?
At think on the one hand, people are very aware of this fact that photographs are not always reality, and especially when we're talking about social media, people are really aware that people use filters, that there is a certain way people photograph their life where it always only shows like the nice parts of their life, the good parts. But this is, I think, really interesting to me. But because when you think of a typical influencer, maybe that has only like super nice photos of themselves, where they look super beautiful and gorgeous, and that is perceived as kind of fake by a lot of people. Yeah. And then on the other hand, there's this trend going on social media where people use no filter, like hashtag no filter. Yeah. Which is supposed to be more real and less fake than the other photos. But in fact, I think they're both equally real/fake, whatever you want to call it, because it's both just a perception of reality that is very fragmented and just this one part. And I think...
maybe you could even say that this hashtag, what was the hashtag?
No filter.
No filter is even more unreal because you pretend to be true.
Exactly.
And that's always dangerous.
I think this is exactly what I was thinking about. That yes, because you say no filter, and you make a photo where maybe you're not wearing makeup, and which you would usually have or something like that, but still you make this photo in a certain way that you choose. So it's as not real as the other photo is. But the fact that you pretend it's more real changes the way people perceive it also. And also you were mentioning journalism, and I think journalists always aim to be objective about the truth, so to say, and I have been working previously as a photojournalist as well, and I really thought that I was objective and that I made photos that were telling the objective truth, the true story, the reality. Well, in fact, when I look back now, I think this is not the case at all. I was, of course, trying to be objective more than, when I would have been a fashion photographer maybe, or, well, it's another discussion, but the fact is still that I choose what I would photograph, but also from what angle I can... there's all these famous examples. For example, there's this photo of a really big protest on a square in Moscow. This is already a really old example from decades ago. But anyway, there's this really massive protest, but then you see another photo of the same protest, which is more zoomed out, and you see it's just 50 people together that all look really angry or whatever, but you see it's not so massive. So the angle, how much you zoom in or out, or if you shift your lens a little bit to that side, you see something totally different.
So it's always literary and also not literary, a perspective.
Always, exactly.
Of a certain person.
Yeah.
And then, now, still going on this fact that many people are photographers, do you think it's a good thing, all this social media and all these photographers? Or is it... I
think questions on right and wrong are always really hard, because I don't think either. I think it has both sides to it, as has anything. So it's a bit of a boring answer, maybe. Yeah. It's very philosophical. Maybe I'm a bit influenced by you. Yeah. So I also want to hear your take on this after, but I'll answer this first. I think the good thing is that a lot of people are photographers, is that this also changes sometimes something in real life. For example, the protests that are happening right now in Iran from girls that are sick of being told what to do and not being able to live their own life. It is kind of influenced by social media and by, first of all, them being able to share and get information and communicate. So in that sense it helps, but also the fact that they see how other girls in other countries live and what is possible helps also for their ideas on how they would want to live and to recognize that they are not free. So this is just one example of a really
this whole
positive
movement,
effect.
this whole thing, this whole socials, they can help to change things.
Yeah, to change things in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's also really negative sides to this. For example, I think we all know this feeling that you have been on your phone for hours, and you look up and you're totally dissociated with the world around you, and you've just been staring at all these Instagram photos like one by one, and maybe tapping on them to give a heart or and I think this really disconnects us from the real world we also live in, and especially from each other.
Yeah.
So I think we all know this feeling, and maybe it happens sometimes and it's not so bad, but I think there's also people that are constantly living in this digital world where...
Sure. And children, our parents, it's hard for parents to get their children off the phone and things like this.
Yeah, so we're not really connected with our hearts to one another anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a very negative side of this. So it has both things.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm also interested in what you as a philosopher think about reality and photography and how these two things influence each other, especially since what you already said, now everybody is a photographer, we all have cameras in our pockets.
It also has to do with technical things. I mean, new techniques, they change our life. That's what's happening. And that's what happened when the first train came. We could do longer distances. There were first when people went in the train, there was this, they were sick of the train. There was this sickness of traveling by train. And after a while it was away. So it had to do something with the newness, with, I don't know. But so it literally, techniques can take you out of the center, which a train, which happens, you're living in your village and now with the train you can go out. And maybe the same thing is happening with the phones we have now. Like you told, we can see other worlds. In the phone we can get out of our little world or our center. But on the other hand, it changes us. It makes, like, for example, they say, now in America there's this discussion about weapons, which is also a technique, of course, and then people from the weapon industry, they say, weapons don't kill people, people kill people. But it's not really true. People with weapons kill people. That's the whole thing. So if you have a technique and you have a person, this technique is going to have some influence on the things this person does. So we, with the phone, now everything we see, we think, oh, maybe this is a nice moment to make a picture. So it makes us think in picture moments.
Yeah.
So it influences this thing in your pocket influences the way you are in the world.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is good or bad, just like you said. Sometimes it's nice, but sometimes it's terrible, this preoccupation with your phone all the time, it's true. So it's difficult to say. And also talking about this big demonstrations, which we also had in what was called the Arabic Spring. Yes, you can motivate, you can activate a lot of people with these socials, which is really a great thing. But then afterwards, you need a structure. You need people who really come together and think of what we want. Now we have accomplished this. Now we have accomplished that the government is away. What's going to happen now? And this is not so easy if you only have the socials. Then you need people who really come together. So that's, for example, Extinction Rebellion, which is quite successful, uses both. They are aware of the fact that with their pictures, with their actions, they have these pictures on the socials and they can motivate other people and show what they're doing. But at the same time, they're really organizing together, people who come together, things and thinking of how we go on and think of a strategy. So I think we should have both.
Yeah. Yeah, so going back a little bit to what you said on that we are only thinking about if we can take a picture of it, do you think that changes the way we are living our lives also? Do you think we live different lives because of that? I'm thinking so, now, Susan Sontag wrote a book on photography. It's called On Photography. Yeah. It's an essay, and she said that she said this also. She said people are only living now in order to take nice photos.
Oh, yeah.
And she wrote this in the 70s. by the way,
Wow.
so it's
But then we
quite a
have
while ago.
the Kodak.
Yeah, exactly. And also she said something interesting to me, which is that people are, like amateur photographs, they take photos of nice sunsets, like super beautiful colors, like the sun going down. You could see here in La Palma all the time.
Yeah. And the sun coming up.
And the sun coming up, yeah, exactly. And because more professional photographers maybe, or artists, they don't want to be associated with these things. So already a real sunset, like seeing a sunset in real life, is a bit kitsch to them.
Yeah, that's interesting. This is something which is happening, I think, all the time. Oscar Wilde already said, art is not imitating life. Life is imitating art. And that's what's happening here. Now, when an artist makes a certain painting or something, which is quite new, it's a new way of seeing the world, and you've seen this work of art, and then you come into the real world, sometimes you recognize the way he looks in the real world. So the real world is in fact copying the artwork. So this is happening. And of course this can be nice, because if somebody shows you a new perspective, it broadens your way of looking at the world. But it can also have this effect that some things, like a very beautiful sunset, is kitsch because you've seen so many pictures of it. So also this has both sides, I think.
And I think also the internet is adding in a way that that we become very polarized as a society, and maybe as the world. I don't know about that, but because we see different things all day long. Because a lot of what we see is online, is digital. It's not even photographs that are printed out or hang on a wall.
No.
It's constant stream.
And it's also interpretation. There's something else. For example, when there's news that, I don't know, in the government somebody said it's something stupid, then you think, okay, it's a little bit stupid, but not such a big thing. But then you hear it 5 times a day, because it comes back, and then you see it in another perspective. Somebody's putting it on Facebook and on Instagram, and then at a certain moment you think, ooh, this is really terrible what this guy did. So sometimes some things are becoming really big and they're quite small. So this is also what happens. It's not only pictures. It doesn't have only to do with pictures, but it does also have to do with pictures.
I think pictures are a big part of it, because we are very visual.
It's
as
really
people,
strong.
I think.
Picture
so
is
it's
strong.
It's more strong. And I think it's also, that's again back to that people perceive pictures as more real than, for example, texts or audio. Should we stop? Wait? So maybe the thing is that it is a fact that photography is changing the way we live, the way we are in the world, the way we perceive reality and what is real, and the way we look at things, because we look, it's only beautiful if it takes a nice photo, and otherwise we ignore whatever is happening. So we are becoming very different beings because of photography. And I think it's also a very human thing to want to say if this is good or bad. But maybe we shouldn't do that. Maybe we should just say, this is a thing that's happening, and accept that this is happening.
In a way I do agree, because of course there's not a good or bad, but sometimes it's good to think, is this the direction we want to go? Because that's, I think, a little bit neoliberalism idea that the world is going in a certain way, the economy is going in a certain way, and we just have to adapt to this. But if we don't like it the way it's going, we have some influence, and we can try to change things. So that's, I do agree that we always have this long discussion, but sometimes it's good to say, okay, especially for example, I worked on some universities and schools, and often the idea was, we have to learn this kids how to behave in the world of the future. And then they had ideas of how the world was going, because it was all online and everything, and the economy and things. But then we also have to think about, how do we want to be the world to be in the future, and then take this as a goal. So this is a little
I think you're
note.
right. It's not, of course, you shouldn't just accept whatever's happening.
No.
And I think indeed we can change more than we think often.
Yeah.
So how would you want the world to be?
Wow, this is a difficult question.
Regarding photography, maybe.
Regarding photography. I think in a way it's nice that everybody's working with photographer, is a photographer. And I do not really dislike the socials. It's not that I'm against this. But of course we have to find a way how to deal with this. I think this is more, it can be like an addiction. So we have to find ways, and this is not really the future, but I think this would be nice if we, first of all, the internet is organized. This is also not something which is just going like this. No, it's organized in a certain way. And there are tricks to keep us on our phone and things like this. So we should organize actively. We should think of how we want to be the internet want it to be, and then organize it this way. And now there are many. Now it's organized by commercial organizations who want you to stay on your phone, buy things, and everything is organized that you will do this. And the smartest people of the world are thinking about this. So, for example, when you give a lesson, when you're a teacher, you give your information, and you have people who are on their phone, and the smartest people of the world are trying to keep these people on the phone. And it's quite difficult to give a nice lesson when you have these people who are attracted to their phone this way. So there are all strategies to keep people on the phone. So this is something in the future I think it's a better way that not only commercial organizations are trying to organize the internet. We should organize it that it's something that benefits us and not only benefits commercial companies.
So is it maybe the case that we need new ethics somehow? Because we have certain ethics on how to live our lives, and there are some things we kind of more or less all agree on, like you shouldn't kill another person, for example.
Yeah.
And maybe these new techniques require new ethics that are simply not there yet.
No, and it was even a little bit like this, that now it's changing a little bit, and especially in Europe. But it was like this, that they were seen, all internet companies like Facebook, and were seen as, they had a special position. A lot of things, a lot of rules which were there for other companies, that it was not possible to have more than 50% of the market, things like this, were not for companies like Facebook and things like this. So they had a special position, and there were commercial organizations, and now they have too much power. That's the whole thing, and we have to change this. And it is happening a little bit.
Yeah. I think part of the problem is that governments are often formed by people that are not the ones that know the most about these things.
Yeah.
They are like ministers and people that work in the government are often very motivated, of course, doing what they do, but they know their knowledge is different.
Sure.
And not so much about the digital world, whereas in fact this influences everything they do.
Yeah.
And they make decisions on.
Yeah. And that's what's happening now. Now are more people who know more about the internet are trying to change it. So I'm a little bit positive about this, but not totally, because on the other hand, like I told you, the smartest people are paid to think of ways how to stick us to the phone.
Yeah.
So.